What's good? What's good? What's good? What's good, good people? Thank you guys for tuning in to week 265 of the Voice of the Fans podcast. Want to go ahead and give yourself a round of applause for making it to the show. Fans, we got a lot to talk about. Man, I had a crash hour here. In the last hour, I was able to prep for the podcast, cook dinner, eat dinner, and still be ready for the show, man. This is commitment I've been through the last hour, just kind of a smashed hour, if you will. Fans, I want to thank you guys again for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans podcast. Each and every week we get the show started just like this.
Who am I speaking to right now?
Cameron.
My name is
Cameron.
Cam Buford.
I'm a Dolphin fan.
This is a big year for Tua to prove that he's a franchise quarterback.
I'm more a fan of boxing. Boxing is my main sport.
As a competitor, how much does that competitive spirit get in there and say, I want to fight this guy. I want to get some of this guy.
Of course I want to fight all the guys. Of course that. But at the same time, like I keep telling you, it's a business.
Talk about that loyalty for a moment.
I'm staying there to try to make a change. Give back to the youth, get back to my community and show them that there is hope that you can make it out. Only thing is you just got to be dedicated. You got to keep your head down and stay on this course that you're heading towards.
Think about it like this. The promoter pays the fighter. The fighter pays the manager.
Okay.
So the manager works for the fighter. The fighter works
for the promoter. Okay.
If you can see, you can believe.
So you are lifting weights currently?
When he said it's easier to score in the NBA versus Europe, did you agree with him?
To me, it's easy to score way more than
On your team's ball number, is it number 2 in boxing or your number 3 option? On Kenny's team, 30 nights a year, he's my number 1 option. 30 nights. Can I finish right now?
Do you want me to speak or do you want to conduct the interview and answer for me?
What do you
Which
think?
one?
What do you think about these upcoming?
Okay. Like I was saying before.
Well, every game's a new game, so each one's a different experience, different defense, different players, different game plan. So.
Aaron, what has the game of baseball taught you?
One of the biggest things is being humble.
Can you give a message to the kids to kind of persevere through the false teachings they may be giving?
Patience.
Okay.
Patience.
As the show Voice of the
Oh
Fan
my goodness!
continues to
I'm in
evolve,
You were adding some spice to it.
it is strictly banter back and forth between myself and Cameron Buford.
I enjoy all of it.
Real ones know what's going on, right?
Like you said, it's a different place, so I think it's a big part of my game, and every time I step on the floor, I just want to represent myself.
You play this game and you don't turn to win a championship, then why are you playing for?
I'm happy for the Mariners. I'm happy
Yeah,
for
yeah, no, yeah, Cam, nobody.
Never mind.
Go watch the tape. Go watch the tape, and then you tell me if it was all about just a system.
Look like a buffoon.
Go do your research. Go do your study.
I'm not caught up to you guys yet. I do
Real surprised at that, Cam.
Hey, give here. It's okay.
Oh, this guy.
That's what's good in sports, man. It's Big Snoop Dogg, man.
That's what's good in sports. Hey, man, thanks for making our voice your choice. You know how we do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Fans, those are just some of the more humorous moments that I've been able to capture in this journey. So that's why I shared. There's a lot more, but I just kind of break it down into an intro segment for you. If you're watching the show, if you're a regular on the show, let me know which one of those moments do you find most humorous. Some of them, social media, I took a lot of heat on them. But which of those moments did you find most humorous in the intro of the show? But again, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans podcast. This is week 265 of this iteration of the podcast. What we're going to do, we're going to talk about recap week 8 in the NFL, talk about the NBA, what's happening in the NBA. We're going to give into our This Week in History segment as we always do. We got a lot of stuff that's happening. The Knicks just played a perfect game against Wembanyama. He went ahead and said he thought the Madison Square Garden was too small, and what do you know? He put up a small game. So that was kind of surprising. The Clippers are now 0-2 with James Harden on the squad. As they lose to Brooklyn tonight. So we got a lot of things happening in the show, and I'd like for you guys to be a part of the show. Hit us up at _Voice of the Fans on Twitter, at _Voice of the Fans on Twitter, X, whatever you're referring to it as these days, or hit us up in the chat. The chat is live, is ready for you guys to go. So you got some feedback in the chat. Let us know where you're tuning in from, where you watching from, or where you watching, where you listening to from, and what you doing while you watching the show. Or are you driving? You at work? What you got going on while you listening or watching the show, and where you at? That's what I want to know from you. Otherwise, tell me what is the most humorous moments of the intro that you enjoyed the most, and let's get the show started just like this. With it being November 8th, 2023, week 265, we take a look at, and we always take a look at the numbers, playing our numbers game. We start to show off differently each and every week because the numbers change. The week of the episode number change, and obviously the date changes. So with it being November 8th, we're going to look at the number 8. Fans, think in your mind, who wore that number the best, or who was the best to wear that number? So who wore it the best, or who was the best? Sometimes it's one of the same. It's not always one of the same, though. When you think of the number 8, you got to think of that dude, Kobe Bean Bryant. I thought that was his best version of number 8. Was the best version of Kobe. Obviously, number 24 was a more mature. His game was more mature, but that number 8, if you watch it, you put on some tape and you see that number 8 in the Laker uniform, that dude was the absolute monster, untouchable. 3 back-to-back championships. He was an absolute monster. So he has to be number 1. However, when I think of the number 8, one of my most favorite players in the NBA, not saying he was the best player by no means, but Lonnie Shelton for the Seattle Supersonics, a power forward, was an enforcer. He was back in the days when they had enforcers, that was a quintessential enforcer. 6'8", 260. He didn't come. I don't think he strayed 12 feet past the hoop. He was free throw line and in was his game, and he was an enforcer. If you don't know Lonnie Shelton, go look up Lonnie Shelton. Find you some YouTube clips on Lonnie Shelton. That was just one of my favorite players in the game of basketball, and that's when I think of number 8. That's one of the guys that come to my mind. Number 65. There wasn't a lot of guys. Edwin Bethea, Gary Zimmerman, wasn't a lot of prominent guys that were number 65. So we'll speed on past that one. This week in the NFL, there was not. It was an interesting week. I think I'd like to start the show off with my most impressive wins and my worst losses. Most impressive wins, you got to give it to the Vikings, bringing a quarterback off the bench who's been with the team less than a week, and Josh Dobbs to get down and pull the team together and get some play inspired ball. You got to give Josh Dobbs credit. A rocket science in college, and he's proven, man, that if you give somebody a chance, a lot of people can step in and play quarterback. He's proven it. You can't, no longer can you say the quarterback is the most important position on the field. You can't say that no more. They played with a guy who came off the bench, or excuse me, who's been on the team less than a week. Now, Josh Dobbs isn't that spectacular, where he can just go to any team he wants to and turn it around. But what he was able to do for the Vikings, play inspired ball, get them to win, it was the Falcons. Okay, I'll give you that. It was against a lot of Falcons who just look for ways to lose each and every week. But Josh Dobbs did his thing. Came in and played inspired ball. Back to, it went tit for tat, back and forth, and he led his team to a W. You can't be mad at that. Next impressive wins was C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans. C.J. played so good, he inspired a new segment on the show. He inspired a new segment on the show. C.J. Stroud did that. We're going to get to it later. But CJ Stroud got down. And look who we got to join us.
Good evening, sir.
Look, he made it. I wasn't sure. You saw that Lakers score. I wasn't sure you was gonna make it. The Lakers getting pounded by Houston Rockets. You want to explain that to the fans?
No.
No. You don't. Oh, you don't want to talk now. No, you don't want to. Well, I mean, what you come on the show if you don't want to talk? Cause we talking football right now, and I will give you some credit. I was laying on my couch I think it was December, watching Ohio State cough up a chance to go to the college football championship, I think it was. And I told you I didn't think CJ was it. I don't think CJ had it. I don't think he was a dude. I don't think he had it in him. And I was wondering, it was most of last season was, or most of the second half of last season in college football was, who's going to go number one, CJ Stroud or Bryce Young? And I didn't understand why there was a dilemma. I didn't understand why there was a dilemma looking at what CJ was doing, and then especially how you finished that game in college. His final game is in the college football. And what you tell me, Cleveland?
I said CJ Stroud has the ability to make all the throws and that he will be a successful pro.
And fans, it's week 8. It's only week 8, and we don't want to make no brash decisions or jump on the train too soon. But when you got 2 months of football, where I think he's 15 touchdowns, 1 interception as a rookie, like that's incredible. Like, I don't think you heard me, Cleveland. 15 touchdowns, 1 interception as a rookie quarterback in the NFL. And it's not like he's taking over the San Francisco 49ers. He's not taking over the last year's division rival or division champions, and they just exchanged flip-flop quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? This guy is taking over a team that had the second, number 2, and number 3 pick in the NFL draft. You only draft that high because your team is no good. That's the only reason you draft that high, is when your team is no good. I can't think off the top of my head. I can't even think of a situation where a very good team has a 1, 2, or 3 pick in the NFL. Can you think of any scenario like that? A very good team has a 1, 2, or 3 pick in the NFL. I can't off the top of my head. I'm struggling.
It's very unusual. Typically, that happens more in the NBA than it does in the NFL because NFL values their picks so much more. So yeah, this is highly unusual. And just to put some perspective and context to what you're already saying is, for example, the anointed golden child, Josh Allen, has 10 interceptions on the season. So,
well, I don't know who you don't. I mean, were they anointing him in Seattle, Washington? Because I don't know where
they've been anointing.
I don't know where they've been anointing. Nobody on this show, at least I haven't on this side of the show, has anointed Josh Allen in anything. I've been I'm talking about positive things right now. I'm talking about impressive wins right now. And Josh Allen did nothing.
Oh, it was an incredibly impressive win. And as you're referring to, if you're talking about a rookie, I mean, he, again, also broke the rookie record, passing your guy, Andrew Luck, for, most yards by a rookie ever in the history of the NFL. But he also did with 5 touchdowns and no interceptions. So that's remarkable.
5 TDs, no interceptions. He had 2 game-winning drives in the last minutes of the game. Two game-winning drives in the last minute of the game. And I tell you what, I was watching that game, and I didn't see this a year ago. I didn't see the velocity, the ball coming off, jumping out of his hand as it did on Sunday. I didn't see the accuracy. I mean, he threw some balls, Cleveland, that were not only where the receiver could catch it and get 1 foot down right on the sideline, like it was like practice. The receiver catches it, able to step and drag the foot just like in practice, with the defender right there hanging on him. Over the middle passes, he hit it in between the linebacker who was sagging back, the linebacker who was sagging back, the safety he was coming over, the corner was defending him. He threw the ball in the receiver's pocket between 4 defenders. Like I was supremely impressed by CJ Stroud. And again, fans, I was so impressed. CJ Stroud inspired a new segment that we'll get to later in the show. My third most impressive win was the Las Vegas Raiders. I think Antonio Pierce is trying to make them the Los Angeles Raiders, but take them back in the day. But the Las Vegas Raiders. You're a fan of the show. You guys know where I'm going with this. If you were a fan of this show, you can identify what I'm about to say in the switching out of McDaniels to Pierce. Cleveland, you want to let the people know what I'm thinking?
Oh man, coaching makes a difference, Cam. Oh my God.
You want to let the people know what I'm thinking?
Let's make a difference, right?
I mean, you tell me. You tell me. Does that the same players? He even benched the starting quarterback, brought in the backup quarterback, same exact players. After the game, they out there sparking up cigars and everything. You tell me what's the difference there. Let me know.
Cam, it definitely makes a difference initially when they make the coaching change because the voice in the room changes, the atmosphere, the attitude changes in the room. They were tired of that dude, and so why do we have to put up with him? And now they got a new voice, and they love it. They love it. And
you said initially, like this is gonna be a Jeff Saturday situation.
And I'm so sorry, Cam. One more time, who did the Raiders beat?
I mean, they had a W. They got a W.
They sure did, but who they beat though?
I mean, it wasn't the Falcons. It wasn't the Falcons. It doesn't matter who they beat. It was a W when they made all these changes in the lineup. They had they fired the GM. They fired the GM and the head coach, Pierce, and the new head coach benched the starting quarterback, brought in the backup. I mean, so what? It was against the Giants. Who cares?
Well, we're talking about sustainability over the course of a season. That's great that in your first game, you got an opportunity to get a hold of the New York Giants and, kind of establish your presence of authority with, throughout the team. But had that first game been the Baltimore Ravens or the Detroit Lions or, the Philadelphia Eagles, I think the results would have been significantly different. But give Antonio Pierce his credit. He was able to come in there and be like, hey, that dude was gone. We're about to get back to fundamentals and basics and calling these kind of plays and putting players in a position to succeed. And that's wonderful. And hopefully this can continue. And hopefully, his message continues to resonate throughout the team. But it was against the New York Giants.
Okay. I'll give you that. That was my most impressive. Those are my 3 most impressive wins that I took before you came out and talked about Josh Dobbs getting it done against your Atlanta Falcons, and what it meant for a backup, for not even a backup quarterback, a quarterback to come off the streets, essentially. He was a backup. Their starter got hurt. He came off the bench and had been with the team about 3 or 4 days. And went ahead and brought those guys to a victory, led those guys to a victory. Now, I told you a couple of weeks ago, I thought Josh Dobbs was not a bad quarterback. He needed an opportunity. And hopefully now Minnesota is going to give an opportunity. And that might just breathe life into this Minnesota Vikings, who's not a bad team. And we'll see what this change of quarterback does for the Vikings. the worst loss of the weekend, Cleveland. The Vikings, or excuse me, the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons are atrocious. The coaching is absolutely horrible. You have the rookie of the year. If you know your quarterback is not that good, Cleveland. We've been doing the show for a long time, Cleveland. I've educated you on several topics. You try to educate me on a couple topics, Cleveland. But one thing that stays consistent, one thing that we agree on, Cleveland. What is a quarterback's best friend?
A strong, established running game, Cam.
And when you draft a running back higher than anybody else has in the last 2 years, so you have one of the most explosive talents in the NFL at running back position. Historically, the team has been a team with the two guys they've been trying to run the ball with. And you refuse to run the ball now that you have one of the better talents? And if you can't recognize that your quarterback stinks, what the heck are you doing? What's going down? I'm so disappointed, so frustrated. I am not disappointed, way past disappointment. So frustrated with the ignorance going on in Atlanta. That's another guy. And this guy came from a team that has Derrick Henry, and understanding what Derrick Henry has done with for the Tennessee Titans, who we're going to talk about a little bit. I told you there's going to be a quarterback change there, Cleveland, and what do we know? There's been a quarterback change in Tennessee. But this coach, Arthur Smith, came from Tennessee, where they had probably the most consistent running game over a 6 or 7 year period. He goes to Atlanta, where he continued his running game with some average average running backs. Then he gets one of the most explosive talents the game has seen and doesn't want to use them. Like, what are you doing? You have a Maserati, but you want to continue to drive the 71 Ford pickup. Like, what the heck are you doing? Like, I'm so for that. That is just so frustrating. And what's going on in Atlanta? The Miami Dolphins. That was a long trip. To go out there and to score 14 points. Tyreek Hill. I'm glad we haven't heard from Tyreek Hill this week. Usually people want to hear, let's hear from the guy, and he talked all that stuff last week. Let's see what he has to say this week. I'm glad we haven't heard from him this week. I'm actually glad about that, because he was talking big stuff, and I don't blame him. He's going against your old teammates, guys you want to bowl with. You know, there's some good relationships there. So, if I had a chance to ask him, I'd ask Tyreek Hill, is Tua still better than Patrick Mahomes? Do you still feel that strongly? Now, I know he's going to say, because he still has 3 years on that contract. So he's going to say yes. He's going to say yes. He's still riding with my guy. But I'd ask him the question just for the heck of it, just to see what his response would be. Cleveland. Game on the line. Down 7 points. In the red zone. 3rd and 17, I think it was. Did you see that pass? Did you see that pass from Tua Tagovailoa? Whether he tried to throw it out there and he saw the receiver go to the corner instead of go to the out route, and he tried to grab it and bring it back, and it just fluttered and just looked like a little puff balloon. Whether that was the case, or it's week, it's week 8. We're 2 months into this. No reason you guys shouldn't be on the same page by now. No, zero reason. Zero reason. We do need more from Waddle. We're still wondering where Jalen Waddle is. It's been kind of up and down, mysterious season from Jalen Waddle. But nonetheless, the dude was open going to the corner. and Tua threw it 15 yards short of him. This is professional football. We're gonna get to college football later. This isn't your guy Penix up in Washington or Caleb Williams down there in LA. This is professional football, where all you do is practice. All you do is gain the scheme, understand what's going on. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable. And then the center with the. I mean, I can't blame. I want to blame Tua. I can't blame Tua on the botch snap that goes 2 feet to the right. Maybe you get your hands on it. You need to be ready. This is unacceptable. It's week 8 in the NFL. So now we got people, commentators, prognosticators, sports media. And you're just saying this is a good team, a mirage. That's what they are. They call them a mirage, essentially. It looks good from afar. You think you think they're so nice and beautiful from a distance. When you get up close, it all got all kind of holes and chinks, and the sculpture just isn't what you thought it was from miles away. And that's on you guys, Miami Dolphins, Mike McDaniel. That's on you guys. Tua Tagovailoa, Raheem Mostert, Jalen Waddle. Yeah, I'm calling folks out. Phillips on the linebacker. I mean, one of the frustrating things is against the Chiefs is we get Xavier Howard comes back. We get Jalen Ramsey. He was back last week. We have 2 lockdown corners, or what we think are lockdown corners. But the thing against the Chiefs don't have a number 1 receiver. They don't have a number 1, 2, or 3 receiver. So when we have these lockdown corners, who do you put them on? Like that? What do you do? Who do you put them on? Because they have nobody who's like that guy. We have to stop. The guy you have to stop is in the back. Although Kelsey only had 3 receptions, that was a winnable football game. That was a winnable football game. The defense held on to 14 points. Tyreek Hill fumbles. That fumble and return for a touchdown was the difference of the game. But Tua, you had a chance to win that game, Tua. In crunch time, you had a chance to win that game, and you guys failed. You guys have to show that you're not a mirage. Because right now, you look like a mirage. Any team that has any togetherness, any good team you face, you lose to. That's the way to put it. It's just any good team. And no way to if and or buts about it. Any good team you play, you lose to. And it's a shame. You guys got to get together. Now, Cleveland, this is your turn because I was not able to see any of that. What do you call a Baltimore massacre? I don't know what do you want to call it. Baltimore beatdown. And I know you're going to try to, the first thing you're going to say is, oh, well, it's a West Coast team, flies over to the East Coast, and they have to play an early game. The body track is not on board. Just stop it. Just looking at the stats, the Ravens ran the ball for what, 390 or 298 yards on them. So, well, I didn't see the game. I didn't see one snap of the game. But just looking at the stats, Seahawks get 6 first downs versus the Ravens 28 first downs. That tells me it was all ball control. The Ravens making 8 yards of play, just walking the ball up and down the field. Just Tucker must have kicked a couple field goals because it wasn't 42-0. So you explain to the people what happened there because I didn't see anything.
Oh yeah, for sure, Cam. And to reiterate your point, actually, it was a longer flight to Germany for Kansas City than it was for the Miami Dolphins. And
you want to throw that in there?
in addition, I did hear you say,
we're talking about the Ravens and the Seahawks.
We're
talking about the Ravens and the Seahawks.
I wanted to
we
blame
moved
it
past
on
that one,
Tagovailoa, but I just couldn't. But I really wanted to because everything that ever happens wrong is always his fault. And he has such a love-hate relationship with him that it's unfortunate.
We're talking about the Ravens fans.
It's unfortunate that he can never gain your approval. And lastly, yes, they do have to clear up the fact that they have an 0-3 record against teams with a winning record. Now, to your other point, yes, the Baltimore Ravens came in. The Seattle Seahawks were trying to adjust to the acquisition of Leonard Williams. The timing wasn't good. They didn't play well. They got run over. 300 yards, 298 rushing yards to 28 rushing yards for a team that prides itself on being a run-first offense is absolutely 100% embarrassing. There's absolutely nothing that they can say about it other than it's the second worst defeat of Pete Carroll's career in his tenure as a Seattle Seahawks coach. So they have to go back to the drawing board for sure. I have lost a tremendous amount of confidence in Geno Smith, in his ability to move the ball.
Everybody has it. Come on, man. You guys got to take it easy on my guy. Again, I didn't see the game, but you guys are pounding. Geno Smith is getting the shade strays from everywhere. What did Geno Smith do wrong? If the defense can't stop the run game, what did Geno Smith do?
Geno Smith did everything wrong. He couldn't make throws. He was missing wide open receivers as usual. Turnovers. Yeah, he is not a franchise quarterback. They need something desperately. It's not going to be this season. So we'll just have to muddle along, and hopefully he is not the reason that we lose 37-3 every week.
So Geno Smith did nothing correct?
No.
Is that what you're telling me?
No.
You guys
nothing that an adequate quarterback, nothing that Josh Dobbs couldn't have done, nothing that Heineke couldn't have done, nothing that Sam Howell couldn't have done. Yeah.
Oh wow! Now you compared him with Sam Howell and Josh Heineke. Is that what you just did?
And Josh Dobbs, yes. Yeah. Actually,
you just compared
Josh Dobbs
Heineke
is a much better quarterback than Geno Smith at this point in the season.
This is just fresh wounds talking right now. That's all this is. This is just fresh wounds right now. 13 for 28.
Unlike when you say, I wanted to blame Tua for the loss, but I just couldn't. I know I can blame Geno for the loss.
You can't blame Geno Smith because my man runs for 1.8 yards a carry. Kenneth Walker. Charbonnet, how's your guy Charbonnet doing?
He did great that game. Thanks for asking, Cam.
He did great. 4 carries for 8 yards. That's great.
He did better than your
as long as 4 yards
football team, right?
I'm sorry.
I think that's kind of where your frustration is coming. And fans, don't get it twisted. He's really frustrated because this running back, Kenneth Walker III, has got him on the outside looking in with regards to the playoffs for his fantasy football team. It has nothing to do with the Seattle Seahawks. It has everything to do with him and how he's embarrassing him out here with the rest of the league. Yeah, obviously Kenneth Walker III has to do better running the ball. And I know you like him to go, straight forward as
I'm waiting for you to say, I'm waiting for you to admit you see what I'm talking about. Did you see? Again, I didn't see any of the game, so I can't comment on any of the plays.
So then why are you trying to interject?
Did you recognize what I was talking about?
Not that game, no. They were dominating every facet of the game, Cam.
Okay. All right. Well,
298 rushing yards to 28. It's
you can't blame that all on Geno Smith, though. Geno Smith is handing the ball and getting out the way. How is that? Geno Smith had nothing to do with the blocking scheme of the Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith is not on the defense. How does the new acquisition? Have you guys? You just said that was the most yards Pete has given up in his career. How does the new acquisition come and join the team and give up more yards? How does that happen?
Cameron, as you said, you didn't see the game, so you're kind
of.
I'm
asking questions
with regards to what's going on.
I'm asking questions.
Yes, Geno Smith is the problem. he's the problem.
You just want to blame it all on Geno.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, we talked about one of the biggest stories of the weekend was the Raiders and naming Antonio Pierce as their head coach. Cleveland, we do know it was 1 week, and as you mentioned, it was the Giants. Why will this be different than the Jeff Saturday and the Colts situation, or will it?
It will be a little bit different because Antonio Pierce has been in the trenches with regards to being a defensive coordinator at Arizona State and kind of still in the game.
Super Bowls.
Sure, they pulled Jeff Saturday out of the television booth, working for ESPN, kind of analyzing the games and said, "Hey, why don't you be our head coach?" As opposed to Antonio Pierce was actually one of the coaches on the team. So it's not like he just pulled Antonio Pierce out of nowhere. They pulled Jeff Saturday out of nowhere. So the comparison is disrespectful to Antonio Pierce.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, we'll see. Did Sunday tell you more about the Ravens or more about the Seahawks?
Oh, I told you more about the Seahawks. They have a lot of holes to plug with the gauntlet about to start. It was not a good way to start the gauntlet. I mean, after the Redskin games, it gets really, really difficult.
Okay, so now
San Francisco and then Philadelphia and then Dallas and then San Francisco. I'm sorry. San Francisco and then Dallas and then Philadelphia and then San Francisco. It's hard.
Sound like you got those division rivals twice, huh?
Yes, in a very short period of time. And also the 1 and 2 teams in the NFC East, which are, the 1 and 4 teams in the NFC.
Sound like you're a little nervous over there. Sound like you're a little nervous over there.
Extremely. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So we do our confidence picks every week, fans, and we're gonna go through our picks and our pick segment and see how Cleveland nitpicks their little games that he can give some points to. We're gonna identify that here in a moment. But I got some confidence questions for you, Cleveland. Are you more or less confident in the Miami Dolphins making the Super Bowl? Now, since you hold on, fans. Hold on, fans. Let me back up. Retract that. You retract that statement off the record. You didn't hear that. You didn't hear that.
Well, Cam, first and foremost, I want to take this opportunity, fans, to say that I am firmly on the 305 bandwagon. The Miami Dolphins.
Oh, now? No, you didn't have them go. Since when? Since when? Because you didn't have them going into the world. We can go to the tape.
My goodness, rivaling the greatest show on turf. I mean, maybe top 3 offense of all time. The way McDaniel has got those guys clicking. If they can get home field advantage and not have to go any cold weather places, I see no reason this team shouldn't be in the Super Bowl. Okay.
Now you just trying to
most definitely.
Jinx us.
I believe it is Super Bowl or bust for the Miami Dolphins. I believe it's Super Bowl or bust for the Miami Dolphins. They have made me a believer. I am convinced this team is high powered. Nothing they can't do.
All right, fans. You guys heard that. See, sometimes some people say stuff and it just off the cuff and forget about it. Now I'm gonna ask you a question, Cleveland. Are you more or less confident in the Dolphins making the Super Bowl?
Well, Cam, certainly it wasn't a great game. It wasn't a signature performance. Again, having to travel to Frankfurt, Germany, and play over there. although they got a early start, a jump start on kind of getting into getting acclimated to the different culture, climate change, et cetera, et cetera. And I feel the same way, Cam. I mean, had the snap come to Tua on fourth down as opposed to the long snapper just completely missing the mark on that. I mean, the game could have been incredibly different. Had Tyreek Hill not fumbled the football and had that guy pick the football up and just get into fifth gear all at once, just high stepping into the end zone, that was crazy. He picked up the football and ran like
he was scared. He had to get home before dark or something.
I don't think I've seen a football player.
He was out too.
He was out. Like, wow. Okay.
He was out too. That was funny.
Yeah. That was hilarious. So, an unfortunate loss. Probably could have been a win. Not going to take it too tough. Again, I think the part that I'm really more concerned about is the 0-3 against teams with a winning record.
I mean, that's concerning. That's concerning. They played the defending Super Bowl champions. They gave up 14 points to the defending Super Bowl champions. This not counting a fumble, obviously, put that fumble return. They gave up 14 points to defending champions. So that is something to be excited about. However, they only scored 14 points after a month ago putting up 70 points. So you have to kind of question. I didn't see any of the emotions. I didn't see any emotion putting Tyreek in that quick motion that they were using earlier in the season.
Well, Cam, we got players like Jalen Ramsey coming back. We got players getting a little bit more healthy across the defensive line. We have some things that we can work on, and as the season unfolds, we have a lot of games at home, so I think we're going to be okay.
Are you more or less confident in the Eagles returning to the Super Bowl?
That's an interesting question. I like the way they handle business with regards to being very professional and getting out of those games with wins, but I have not seen a signature victory to this point in the season.
But do you have to have a signature victory? A
win
is a win, isn't it?
I'd kind of like to see them establish their presence of authority and just really browbeat a team that was supposedly a tough guy, and move on to the next week.
They're fighting off the Super Bowl hangover. You know what that's like. You know what that's about.
Cam, we're 10 weeks into the season.
Again, that's Super Bowl hangover. It hit you at any time.
Probably should have lost the game in Dallas. They lost to the Jets. There's some weird losses. They still have not clicked on all cylinders just yet. That Georgia defense, pretty good.
He said Georgia defense.
Would you consider it elite? Hard to say. Some people say so. I put them.
But is it good enough if the offense is going to run? The football game is 60 minutes. If the offense is going to run the ball for 40 minutes of the game, and the defense only has to be out there a short amount of time, and they have a couple guys who can make a play or two. Carter, Slay, what's the edge rusher number 7?
Hassan Reddick, yeah.
If they only have to be out there for a short amount of time, they're good enough to make plays and just let the offense run your tush push, 6 times a game. They don't need a signature win. But I hear what you're saying. You want it to look good, but hey, they're Philly. They want to take.
Yeah, again, Ken, their schedule gets pretty difficult. These next couple of games as well. They have a little bit.
Nobody they haven't. There's nobody they haven't. They're not prepared for. The way run the ball, stop the run. That's kind of what they do, right?
Chiefs, Hawks, Bengals, Cowboys. Those are pretty tough games.
Oh, we're gonna get to those Bengals. We're gonna get to those. We're gonna get to those Bengals.
Oh, you back? You back?
More or less. more or less confident in the Cowboys as Super Bowl contenders?
More or less confident as Super Bowl contenders? I would say more confident as Super Bowl contenders. They barely lost the game on the road. They probably could have easily, I shouldn't say easily, they certainly had opportunities to win that game. And the fact that they lost it, I don't want to say in dramatic fashion, but, 2 yards from scoring a touchdown with, time expiring. Yeah, probably more confident they're a contender.
Really? Who would you put the blame on for losing to the Eagles? Since the way I'm hearing you say it is like the Eagles kind of lucked up and beat them. But do you place blame on anybody?
I thought Dak had a really good game. I thought their defense did as much as they could. I thought it was, a couple inches here or there that kind of cost them the victory. I mean, there were some, touchdowns that could have been.
It have been the tight end knee for man.
Yeah, tight end knee fall down. Dak Prescott stepping out with the Jordans, reaching across the line. It was not a large margin of victory. It was a small margin of error on their part.
Did we hear from Parsons all game? Did you hear from Mr. Podcast Micah all game? Podcast Parkinson?
Oh, he had some plays. Again, are you establishing a love-hate relationship with Micah Parsons? Wow. Interesting.
I'm just saying, where's this MVP of the league, defensive player of the year, all this hoopla that they're trying to pile on dude? Podcast Parsons. I didn't see one play. He didn't show up on my stat sheet.
Pretty sure he's in the top 3 with regards to defensive player of the year. With right now, did
that mean third place? That mean behind Bosa and Garrett? Did that mean third place?
Yes, top.
He might be.
That's what I was saying. And
is he behind Watt too? He might be behind Watt too. He might be behind the little brother Watt too.
Okay. Well, again, Cam, you have these personal vendetta against players that sometimes I don't really fully understand. Michael Parsons is on your personal vendetta list. That's fine.
I'm just calling out Podcast Parsons, who everybody want to hype.
You don't like Snoop Dogg, Cam. You have personal vendettas that come up, from time to time. Micah Parsons is apparently on your personal vendetta list. I don't know what he did to you.
Snoop is on my
or when he did it.
Snoop is my guy. I don't know what you're talking about.
You originally put Snoop Dogg in the top 50 Bob artists of all time.
Not artists, it was rappers.
We're upset about it when you had to do it. I think there was some extenuating circumstances. Somebody died or fell off or broke their arm or something. You had to replace them with Snoop.
Martavius Bryant, your guy. Martavius Bryant is making a return to the NFL. Can he help the Cowboys out?
No.
You don't think he got a chance? Dog's been running, pulling the sled, making tremendous over-the-shoulder catches. Randy Moss type catches in warm-ups. You don't think he's ready? Okay, so I'll be grabbing him on fantasy football. Let's continue. Where your confidence, Cleveland? Where's your confidence lie? More or less confident in the Bills as Super Bowl contenders?
Okay, I might tell you at the end of last season that they were done. I said the window was completely shut.
Ooh, completely slammed shut, he says. Oh, but you were just trying to give Josh Allen props 20 minutes ago.
What I said was I was giving CJ Stroud props when I was saying that for the entire season he has 1 interception adverse Josh Allen, who people anoint the superstar, has 9 interceptions.
More or less confident in the Bengals' return to prominence?
Oh, more.
3 in a row. 3 in a row. JB is back, making everybody look bad. I mean, making everybody look good on his team.
Big payback.
I mean,
JB's on the big payback trail. Yeah.
So this is gonna be a hot contested division race with the Bengals and the Ravens. The Ravens been holding serve and
Bengals, Ravens, Steelers, and Browns. Man, I mean, come on now.
Who?
The Bengals, the Ravens, the Steelers.
Bengals and Ravens. Those other guys, don't even come on, stop it. The Browns may make some noise. Your boy, you and Tomlin, it ain't happening this year for you. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. You and your guy Tomlin, they gonna be.
I know how you feel about Mike, and hey man, want to put an elbow out Mike Tomlin getting a winning record again this year.
Let me see.
Crickets.
Let me see where we are. Hold on. I just can't off the top of the cuff. I gotta make an educated assessment here.
Look at the schedule.
I gotta make an educated assessment of where they are, because off the top of my head, I'm gonna say no at 5-3. At 5-3, have a few more wins than I anticipated. 5-3. Let's see where they are. Green Bay win. Cleveland, Cincinnati, Arizona, New England. No, I can't do it. No, they got.
Okay.
No, they got some puffs coming up. They're gonna be 9.
So with all of your criticism, they're gonna
make 9-8. They got 5 weeks.
You have to take the knee and acquiesce to the fact that Mike Tomlin will again not have a losing season.
Well, they should be Arizona, New England, the Colts. I mean, they got Seattle. They got Seattle and Cleveland. The Green Bay, they should win Green Bay. So that's 4 wins right there.
So no.
They should win. They should beat Green Bay, Arizona, New England, and the Colts.
All right, well, that's cool, Cam. If you're not willing to put an elbow on it, then put some spec on Mike Tomlin's name.
Get to the playoffs.
Okay, well, that's quite possible. I mean, you act like
No, it's not. That is not possible. I mean, you just having a 500 season. What does that say? I mean, what did that say for your team? You just muttering around 500 the last 3 years.
I said at least a 500 season. I didn't say exactly what the record would be. I just said at least a winning record.
Again, that's just muttering around mid-level. That's just being mediocre, slightly above mediocre.
10-7, it could be 11-6. We don't know.
That's slightly above mediocre.
Itself out.
That's slightly above mediocre. Come on, you're giving that situation too much, putting too much on being 500.
Okay, well now we're looking at Buffalo being in jeopardy. We've already talked about the Los Angeles Chargers being in jeopardy of not making the playoffs. So those are spots that can be taken.
Well, let's take them. What's your thoughts on Tannehill going to the bench? Do you want Tannehill in Seattle? Should Pete and John call up Tennessee and get Tannehill up there? Since I know you've been trying to spout his praises over the last couple of years, do you want Tannehill in Seattle? He's available. He's not starting no more in Tennessee, which I told you it wouldn't be long this season. Actually, I think I said 4 weeks, but here we are, 8 weeks. And finally, the rookie takes over. And what do you know? The rookie comes right in, throw 4 touchdown passes in the first game. What? All of a sudden, DeAndre Hopkins is looking like a special receiver that he's been his whole career. That, for whatever reason, that other dude couldn't give him the ball. Do you want Tannehill in Seattle?
Cam, until you mentioned it, I had not really considered or contemplated the thoughts of having Ryan Tannehill on the team. But as we discuss it, would he be an upgrade over Geno Smith at this point? The answer is absolutely.
Oh, my goodness. All that you know about Ryan Tannehill, you take Tannehill over Geno Smith?
Oh, yeah, right now, for sure.
Oh, my goodness. Geno Smith. So Geno Smith might be the Seahawks janitor next week, according to you.
I mean, if they have a position available there, I mean,
oh my goodness.
I don't know who the janitor is for the Seattle Seahawks right now.
So are you ready? Are you ready to see Drew locked in?
The season right now they're 5-3, Cam. I mean, if he can just kind of just pretend to be a quarterback for 7-8 weeks, I'll make the playoffs. So it's a little too late in the season to make that kind of a change, but wow, 2 or 3 more games like the Baltimore game, wouldn't be surprised to see a change.
But wouldn't you just say Baltimore is a better team than the Seahawks?
But not 37-3 better, not 298-28.
Gino has nothing to do with the stopping the run or running the ball. What does Gino have to do with that?
I believe Gino had at least 2 interceptions. Again, you didn't see the game, so I mean, all of your observations and interjections don't really mean a whole lot because you didn't see the game.
Boy, they salty in Seattle. Boy, they are salty, and I've been seeing strange for Gino all weekend long. It's like all Sunday, everybody is coming down on Gino. I sure hope
Gino sucks.
I sure hope Gino don't have a house in the CD or the South End.
I hope so too, because it would be throwing rotten tomatoes all over that place and a bunch of for sale signs like what's that movie? Friday Night Lights? Yeah, be a whole bunch of signs.
I hope he's somewhere deep in Everett or Issaquah or somewhere.
Yeah, Issaquah.
Man. Your guy. Okay, well, a couple questions. Your guy Saleh. Let's talk about Saleh. Saleh, they asked him, why haven't you signed Trevor Siemian? Why haven't you switched to Siemian? Saleh says, I plead the fifth. Have you ever heard a coach say, I plead the fifth? Has the head coach ever said, I plead the fifth? Come on, man. What's up with I plead the fifth? So that does that tell you, does that explain to you that he's not really the head coach? He's not making the decisions over there?
No.
No, you don't buy it when he says I plead the fifth? What does I plead the fifth mean to you, Cleveland?
I plead the fifth means that I can't be 100% honest with you guys with regards to why that switch hasn't been made. And
but that's your decision. You can say this guy gives us a better chance of winning. The team is fully behind Zach Wilson. Like, you can say any number of things except I plead the fifth.
Yeah, he doesn't want to incriminate himself. He doesn't want to leave his defense, which is the heart and soul of the team, out there on a ledge. So he just says, hey, man, I would rather not answer that question for, grounds that it could incriminate me for saying why I haven't, made that switch.
Wow. Wow. I don't even know what to say about you defending your guy Saleh here. He's going.
Did you see the game? Did you see the game, bro?
The ship be sinking. I did see the game. Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
what have they been saying the entire time? Did you hear what Troy Aikman said?
I listened to Manning. What was I doing during the game? I was doing something.
He said,
I listened to
New York Jets are a bad team with a great defense. It's the same thing I've been telling you for like a year now.
Okay, so you can't figure out what to do with your great
defense?
No,
you can't figure out what to do when you have a quarterback like Zach Wilson. For the last 3 games, he has managed to not completely ruin the game, but he just reverted back to his Zach Wilson self the last game.
So why doesn't Breece Hall have 25 carries a game? Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook. Why don't they have? Why don't you have 40
offensive line is not very good, and everyone knows that they would like to do that first and foremost. So, what's that you called scheme coaching? They know what to do to
Oh.
stop the New York Jets from being better.
Oh, so there's no scheme or coaching for the Jets to kind of make that happen. Is that what you're admitting?
No, I'm saying there's no talent at the quarterback position to offset
I got him. I think I had him fans right there.
Or just
I think I had him.
Run.
I think I had him fans right there.
Yeah, I know you thought you had me. Yeah, but there's nothing to have.
Kyler Murray is returning this weekend. What's your thoughts on Kyler Murray?
Man, I hope he don't win too many games and be ruining their opportunity to get Caleb Williams.
It's kind of funny, right? That is kind of funny. I heard, Cleavon, this is what I heard. I think you said this 3 or 4 weeks ago. Somebody actually said in 2 years, Kyler Murray will be the starting second baseman for the Las Vegas Angels, or the Las Vegas A's, excuse me. I thought that was so funny. They just put the man at second base in 2 years. Do you think he could, like, seriously, in all seriousness, if he didn't actually recover from this injury, and he's not the Kyler Murray from running around and doing what he used to do you think he could actually make the transition from NFL quarterback to Major League second baseman?
Eventually, yeah.
You do? Well, how was he a hitter in baseball? Do you lose
No,
that?
Cam, it's hard to say because he was a high school prospect, but I mean, he was like a top 10.
Didn't he play at Oklahoma? I thought he played at Oklahoma.
I mean, maybe a little bit. I mean, I didn't
He
follow
played at Oklahoma.
I didn't follow his baseball career after he won the Heisman and after he did a lot of other things. So, I don't know.
Played at Oklahoma, though.
But I got the impression, and from what I've heard, that he was a high enough prospect that he could probably pick it back up. And being the starting second baseman, probably not too far-fetched.
I thought he played, if my memory serves me correctly, I thought he played at Oklahoma. No, never. Nonetheless, so that's kind of interesting. If he can make that change, that'd be. I mean, that'd be impressive. That'd be impressive. Being able to play and start at 2 sports, that'd be fairly impressive. All right, Cleavon. New segment here. Before we get into our pick segment, new segment is drum roll, please. I need a drum roll on my sound machine. So let's introduce a new segment here, Cleavon. And the segment is I got it wrong. I got it wrong. And there's a couple things that I was really passionate about that I'm going to bring up. The first being, when I get as I mentioned earlier, there's several things that get correct. But the one thing I got, these are things that were just so far on the opposite side of correct that I have to admit these things here. And I got it wrong. Najee Harris. I thought coming out of Alabama, getting drafted by your Pittsburgh Steelers and your guy Mike Tomlin, like I thought that was a perfect fit for him. I didn't think there was a better place he can be in the NFL than a team who likes to focus on running the ball, stopping the run. They didn't have a good quarterback. He was going to be there. He was going to be the quarterback's lifeline. But what we're seeing out of Najee Harris in the 3 years he's been in the NFL, this is more Trent Richardson-like than the beast or the bust. I thought he was going to be more like the bust, not Trent Richardson. And the bust, I'm talking about Jerome Bettis. And I got that completely wrong. Has Najee Harris gained 1,000 yards in the 17 games that they play in his career? I don't think so. I don't think he has. Let me take a look just to make sure.
Well, I mean, this is Najee's third season, correct?
That's what I'm saying. Has he gained 1,000 yards in his 3 years in the NFL in rushing?
I mean, combined for sure. I mean,
You're combining his years.
yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
okay. Well, hold on. Take it back.
I think his first season he gained at least 1,000, right?
He was 1,200 in his first year, 1,000 last year. I mean, but 1,017 games. You know, that's not that impressive. The first year he averaged 70 yards a game, 60 yards a game, and this year it's been 47 yards a game. So his yards per game is decreasing. He's 3.9 yards a carry, 3.8 yards a carry, and 3.8 yards a carry this year. So that's staying still under 4. The average is 4. He's been below average in yards per carry in his career. I got it wrong, fans. Najee Harris is not who I thought he was going to be for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Not who I thought he was going to be in the NFL. The second guy I'm calling myself out on, Cleveland, is Jordan Love. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Guys, fans, when you see players get off the bus, you know, some players get off the bus, and you guys all heard the saying, looks like Tarzan, play like Jane. Or you see a guy, not Myles Garrett, a guy like Myles Garrett get off the bus, you're like, oh boy, this guy's gonna be trouble. And then he gets pushed around out there like you know, a wide receiver like Jalen Waddle. You're like, wow, this isn't who I thought it was gonna be. Looking at Jordan Love in the warm-ups, pregame warm-ups, his ball is beautiful. The way he drops back, the way he sets his foot, and he brings his arm forward, his release is just, so magnificent. Beautiful. Outstanding. He looks really good in uniform. Really good in uniform, fans. But in the game situation, and once they kick it off, this guy is atrocious. Jordan Love, I thought the Packers at the beginning of the season, I thought they got another one. We're going to see another 10, 15 years of solid quarterback play from the Green Bay Packers quarterback, and Jordan Love has just been abysmal. 59 yards completion, 59 yards, 59% completion percentage. I mean, that's terrible. That's terrible. 12 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Like, every 3 times he's throwing a interception percentage is 3.1. Like, that's terrible. It for his QBR quarterback rating is a 42 this season. 42 out of like 120. Like, horrible. Jordan Love has been absolutely horrendous. And I'm sorry, Green Bay fans, if you're listening to me and you bought some Jordan Love stock, I apologize because I had that wrong. Cleveland, the third guy we're talking about, and again, I can only go 3 deep. I mean, I don't get a lot of things wrong, but I'm being honest with you guys, fans. These are a few things where I was just so wrong. I have to admit it. Like, I was just so wrong. And looking at the game, I just can't say. I have to bring it up. I have to admit it. And that's what I'm doing tonight. This is a Voice of the Fans podcast. So thank you guys for tuning in. And here I am, fans. I'm here to say how wrong I was. And the third guy I'm talking about how wrong I was is CJ Stroud. We talked about it earlier, Cleveland. I sat on the couch I only watch college. The only reason I don't like college football in general, the only reason I watch college football is I want to see who's drafted, what players are draftable, what players do I think can make the NFL and have not just make the NFL, have some success in the NFL. That's kind of why I watch college football. I don't care about Oregon State. I don't care about Texas Tech. I don't care about Alabama. I don't care about LSU. I don't care about none of those schools. The only reason I will watch a college football game, Cleveland, is to see which one of these players can take the leap, play on Sundays, and have some and be contributors. That's the only reason I would watch college football. The only reason I would watch college football. But at the end of the season, now they got this college football tournament, this playoff system, and you got to watch the playoffs to see the best of the best, right? I saw Oklahoma or Ohio State play, and I think I text you a few different times, Cleveland. This guy, he don't got it. He ain't got. I was disappointed when they lost because they had a time. He had a chance to drive him down the field, and he couldn't get him down the field. I was surprised at that. For all the hubbub that he was getting coming into that game, he couldn't move them down the field and put them in position to win the game. I was like disappointed in that. But he's shown since he's been in the NFL that you're right, Cleveland. He can make all the throws, and he's been showing he's ready to make all the throws. 62% completion percentage. Cleveland, he has 14 touchdowns, 1 interception as a rookie in the NFL. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Where Jordan Love, Cleveland, has a 42% QBR. This guy's at 62%, 100% rating, 101.2 rating in the NFL as a quarterback, as a rookie in the NFL. That's freaking unbelievable. So I was wrong, Cleveland. I was wrong about Najee Harris. I was wrong about Jordan Love. I was wrong about CJ Stroud, Cleveland. Fans, you got it. I hope you guys save the tape because you won't hear me admit this stuff too often. And there's a situation that comes around where a player plays so great, so significant that I have to admit I was wrong. You see, I'm willing to do it. Cleveland, where were you wrong?
Cam, first and foremost, I was wrong about the defensive end from the aforementioned The Ohio State University and Chase Young. I thought that he would be an absolute beast by this point. The Washington Commanders decided it's not even worth the experiment any longer. We're just going to move on and get picks, and good luck to you out there, on the West Coast. Completely wrong about his ability to dominate the game, from the defensive end position. He has not been that. I was completely wrong about Russell Wilson. I thought that the Seahawks made a mistake not letting Russ cook, and that he was a focal point of the offense and a major reason that they had success over the years. And so far in Denver, he's looked like.
I can't let you do that. I got to defend Russell.
He's
Russell didn't have the receivers, man. Russell needed more receivers.
Drunk journeyman boxer who's just waiting to get knocked out at any particular given time. So I watched him, lost a bunch of money last year, watched him come in his lime green James Bond suit with the bow tie on, like he was just gonna shut everybody up. And I don't think he's won 5 games since that game.
Since he put on a lime green?
I don't think he's won 5 games. And if so, it's only been 5 games.
Okay.
And lastly, I'm gonna take it back a few years because I know this is one of your favorites. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna skip that. You know who else I was wrong about? Tua Tagovailoa.
Oh,
I thought he was going to be injury prone.
Oh my goodness!
All over himself. Last year he had a couple of those games with the concussion issues and a little bit of fragility with regards to some of the other, wrist and thigh and those other things. But right now he is on pace to be the NFL MVP. I was wrong about that.
Now be serious and give us your real. Who is you going to end with for real? Give us your serious point right here. I don't think
the other one. I mean, other than Tua was you know, as you like to bring up a lot of times, I was not high on Christian McCaffrey coming out of college. I thought he was a shell of what Reggie Bush could have been and was at SC. And so I thought if we see Reggie Bush go to the NFL and can't, be successful, I don't give a lot of confidence in the fact that Christian can go to the NFL and be successful. And he has proved me incredibly wrong.
But he still suffered some injury issues at Carolina and with the 49ers. So you weren't entirely wrong in that scenario. But CJ Stroud fans is a reason that his success just spawned this episode or this segment that I had to admit kind of where I was wrong. So fans, as we do each and every week, we make our picks, and let's look at our picks from this past week. So confidence picks right here. What we got? This is this week, and this is last week. Cleveland, Philly, still at the top. Baltimore, KC.
Those are the supremacy rankings there, Cam.
Oh yeah, excuse me. That's what I meant. What did I say? Pick. Here's our supremacy rankings. The changes. I got Cincinnati. You don't have Cincinnati on your list? How do you not have Cincinnati on your supremacy ranking?
Not quite just yet. I mean, that slow start. I mean, I guess you could kind of perhaps put them in front of Dallas. Dallas went toe-to-toe with Philly, although Cincinnati did beat the 49ers, but the 49ers lost 3 straight games. So,
well, the 49ers are not on the list right now.
I know. So with every loss, that victory gains less, credibility. Right now, the Cincinnati. I'm sorry. Right now, the Dallas narrow loss to Philly is better than
Cincinnati win.
Better than the Bengals. Win on the 49ers.
Really? Wow. Even though the Cincinnati Bengals crushed the Cowboys, that's kind of a weird logic. There. So looking at our pick segment for our picks from last week, Cleveland, the ones we got wrong. Tennessee, I had Tennessee losing to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, because you don't like Pittsburgh or Tomlin.
I mean, I had Tennessee winning the game.
No, I know. I know.
I had
you don't like Pittsburgh or Tomlin.
I had Miami going to Germany, standing up and winning that game, and explain why they lost that game. The Rams. I thought the Rams would get Green Bay. What's his name? Jordan Love actually stepped up and played a decent game to win that game against the Rams. Atlanta, we talked about how atrocious they were. New England, didn't expect Howe to put on the show that he did against Bill Belichick and New England and Patriots. Philly, as you see, I expected that win, and then I expected the win for the Chargers over the Jets. Why do you take the Jets over the Chargers? They can't score.
Going across the country, I thought that they had solved the Zach Wilson conundrum, and they haven't.
So this game should dispel that theory, right? That going across the country, playing at going West Coast.
No, not really, because you go up to that Seattle game, and it certainly rang true there, didn't it?
Well, you like to use that time schedule. So the one argument I would accept it from you is that was a night game that gave your body clock time to adjust. That was the one argument I would accept.
Okay.
So you see where I got all my picks right. We tied for the week, 9 out of 14. How many picks against the spread you get right this week, Cleveland?
Man, young Sam was not on his game this week. Not at all.
And so here's where I make my surge. 44%. Take the lead here this season. And then overall picks there, 63%. We're not far away. That's you're trackable. You're trackable right now.
Mm-hmm.
Here's our confidence picks right now. Had more confidence in Cincinnati getting the W, the Philly getting the W. I had the Rams in there. The last week was tricky, man, because there was no gimmies. And the Rams coughed it up for me. The Browns and the Saints gave me a W. You got all of them correct somehow. Somehow we got all.
Somehow you sound all surprised and mystified, Cam. I mean, that's kind of what I do.
I don't know about that. Somehow, fans, the games of the week. Here are my games of the week coming up this weekend. The Browns and the Ravens, divisional game. Cleveland mentioned the Browns have a chance to overtake the Ravens, or they potentially have a chance to overtake the Ravens. But here's Myles Garrett. Can you step up and be the defensive player of the year? The Niners over the Jaguars. The Niners had a bye. They've lost 3 straight games. The Jaguars had a bye, and they're playing the Niners. Like, this is going to be the Jaguars. I think they're what? They lost 2 games, if I remember correctly.
6 and 2.
So the Jaguars is trying to prove that last year playoff game wasn't a fluke. Yeah, that's going to be a good one. The Lions and Chargers. Like, the Lions are in a better position than the Chargers. However, these are 2 teams that kind of the football world still don't have any confidence in. The Chargers because they keep charging, and the Lions because of who they've been historically. So
Cam, just to educate the fans, what does charging mean?
I'm gonna continue with this segment here. I'm gonna continue with this segment. I didn't know where that comment. The Commanders versus the Seahawks. So now you get an East Coast team coming west. What do you? I'm sure you're picking the Commanders, but I think this is going to be a good game because now all we know is Geno Smith has to come back. This is a game that he has to come back. The Commanders are they tanking? Are they in full on tank mode? Because they did give up one of their guys, defensive lineman, to
gave up Chase Young and Montez, so they gave up 2 of their defensive linemen. So yeah.
So are they in full on tank mode or what are they doing here? We're gonna see here. So here's a look at our picks for this week coming in. Carolina versus Bears. I got the Bears. So I'm just going to run down the ones we disagree with. I got the Carolina.
I have the Bears.
I got Carolina. Carolina. I mean, the Bears, they're still playing their backup quarterback. So I think it's about time that Young gets a W, gets on track here. So I'm going with Carolina and Chuba Hubbard to run through the Bears. We both got Indy, Baltimore, Minnesota. I'm going with Josh Dobbs. I'm going with Josh Dobbs on the upset at home. Yeah, I'm going with Josh Dobbs. That should be my pick against the spread right there as well. And then we agree on Cincinnati. Why do you got New Orleans?
I thought that Josh Dobbs was a great game against the Falcons. I thought he stepped in and did admirably, but yeah, man, that was kind of an aberration. I think the Saints are going to get that one.
We both agree on Cincinnati, San Francisco, Pittsburgh, Tennessee, Detroit, Atlanta, Seahawks, Dallas, Las Vegas, and Buffalo. Picks against the spread. I got Indy. Taking the Indy minus the points against the Patriots. Tennessee. I got Tennessee winning their game. The young quarterback is able to throw the ball, so I think the Titans they got a chance to kind of revive the careers of Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins. They're playing the Bucs, so I'm taking the Titans in the points. And then the Raiders. The Raiders. I want to see if the Raiders was this a one-game fluke, just one game fluke against against the Giants with Antonio Pierce, or against the New York team, can they put up 14 points against the scrubby Jets and kind of ruin their season? And I got the Raiders doing so. It looked like you agree with me on that one too, by the way. I see you put the Raiders as well. You want to explain your picks?
Yeah, for sure. Again, with regards to the Bears game, I just have no confidence in Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers and anything that they're doing.
No, I meant your picks against the spread. Excuse me.
So my spread picks, yeah. So with regards to San Francisco,
Yeah.
I think that the Jaguars have done some things, but I think that I don't think the 49ers will lose 4 straight games. I think that's a little bit far-fetched. So I think they're at least good enough to do that, especially with the Chase Young trade, probably breathing some new life into that defensive line rotation. I think that they can win that game. Pittsburgh, I feel about the Steelers and Mike Tomlin, and the Packers aren't that good. So I'll take that those 3 points. And again, as we were saying with the Saints, I think that it's a little bit of an apparition what Josh Dobbs was able to do, in his spot relief of, Hall, who had a concussion.
But he did the same thing in Arizona, though. He led the Cardinals on a big win against the Cowboys.
Sure did. And I think that was kind of a fluke as well. So I just don't think that they're going to lose to the Saints. Or I'm sorry, that the Saints are going to lose to the Vikings.
Okay. And here's our confidence picks. I got confidence in Seahawks this week. I got confidence in Buffalo beating the Broncos. I got confidence in San Francisco, Dallas, and Cincinnati this week. So let me see. I don't have Pittsburgh. I don't have Baltimore on my list. You see, you're a little higher on those teams, but generally we agree on the 3 of the 5 teams anyway. Dallas, Buffalo for you, Baltimore, Cincinnati, and Pittsburgh. Now I'm hoping the Browns beat Baltimore. Now I'm hoping the Browns beat Baltimore. Yeah. All right, fans. So that's our NFL topics. We like showing you, give you guys full transparency on how our pick segments go and how they break down. Now we got the NBA fans. We got an NBA topics, and before we jump into our NBA topics, just want to announce that tonight, we got the Nuggets up on Green Bay, but the Celtics,
the Nuggets are up on who?
I mean, the Nuggets up on Golden State. Excuse me.
Okay.
We had the Celtics, the 5-1 Celtics playing the 5-1 Philly tonight. Cleveland, did you see the score of that game?
Not so far. What was the score, Cam?
The Phillies pulled the game out by 3, or the 76ers pulled that game out by 3, 106-103, to move to 6-1. Kind of lead the Eastern Conference right now. Is that sustainable? No confidence in Tyrone Maxey, the league's reigning MVP, Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris, Nick Batum, Robert Covington. No confidence in that squad. Marcus Morris, no confidence in that group.
Not having the best record in the Eastern Conference when the season's over now.
Okay, even though they just smacked around the team with the best record in the Eastern Conference.
Right. Yeah.
So Cleveland, this week, you were all smiles and grins last week when it was announced that James Harden was finally gifted his Clippers uniform. James Harden made his debut with the Clippers on Monday night. It was. They lost to the Knicks. His second game with the Clippers, they lost to the Nets. So right now the Clippers are 0-2 with James Harden on the squad. But I'm not disappointed. You know, when you get a new guy in the team, especially a new guy who says, I am the system, I'm not a system, I am the system, I'm going to have to get that soundbite. He says, I'm not a system, I am the system. So when you have a guy come in with this mindset, you know it's going to take a moment or a week or two for these guys to kind of gel and start playing together. But one thing I thought in all my hatred for the conversation of James Harden, one thing I forgot with all my hatred of the conversation with James Harden going to the Clippers. James Harden is a crafty passer. He's crafty. He did lead the league in assists the last 2 of the 3 years. He's very crafty, getting the ball to big men, getting the ball to right shooters. And we've seen that on display immediately with the Clippers. Now, obviously, getting the rotation right is going to take Ty Lue time. A week. We'll give him a week to kind of get these rotations, a few games to get these rotations together. But the chemistry issues. I mean, Russell was hitting a 3-pointer. Russell was driving to the hoop. Russell was getting rebounds. Russell's doing his thing. So you got 4. Is Paul George first ballot Hall of Famer? Is Paul George first ballot Hall of Famer?
In the NBA, yes, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
In the NBA. I mean, that's really questionable, though, truthfully. I mean, he ain't played in the NBA Finals. NBA
has a slightly different criteria with regards to the Hall of Fame. I believe he's done enough to make the Hall of Fame.
He didn't play in the finals. When he was the star on the team, they underperformed. In Indiana, when he was the man, they underperformed.
They didn't underperform. They lost.
They did underperform.
That's the Miami Heat. That's not really underperforming.
In the second, yeah, they underperformed Cleveland. They underperformed. That was underperformance. They lost to the Heat. I mean, but what was it, a 4-1 sweep or 4-1 to the Heat?
You lose to a team that goes to the NBA Finals 4 straight years.
It wasn't 3-3.
Really
oh, goodness, I don't know, Cleveland. They were supposed to put up some.
They were supposed to beat the Miami Heat.
They were supposed to put up some resistance.
Nah, they weren't supposed to beat the Miami Heat. They took them as far as they can go. They went 7 games, at least once, maybe twice.
No, not maybe once. I can't. I don't remember.
I remember LeBron had to come into Boston in Game 6 and go for 45 and 15.
That's Boston. That's Boston. He played in Indiana. Like they were underwhelming.
I beg your pardon. He didn't have to do that. So no,
he beat him with
Paul George. There was at least one game they had to go 7. At least one search had to go 7.
What year was that? Where it was seconds on the clock. I think this was a 3-1 series. It was seconds on the clock, and he let LeBron drive to the hoop and make the lay-in versus playing LeBron for the lay-in.
Yeah, why are we splitting hairs about Paul George's career? What was your point again? I'm not.
My question. So I was getting at with 4 first ballot Hall of Famers.
Okay.
You can't argue Kawhi, Harden, and Westbrook are first ballot Hall of Famers. There's no question about that.
Okay.
If Paul George, we give Paul George the credence, that'll be 4 first ballot Hall of Famers. How long do you think it'll take for this chemistry for them to kind of come together and develop that chemistry?
Well, Cam, I mean, as far as chemistry goes, I mean, there's a few things that need to get, kind of ironed out. First and foremost, James Harden, Russell Westbrook played in Oklahoma City. And, Russ felt a little bit, spurned when, Harden kind of made his decision that he wanted to be, a focal point marquee guy, ended up getting out of, forcing his way out of OKC, his first force out.
He didn't force his way out.
His first force out.
He didn't force it. He wanted to stay there. And OKC didn't pay him the extra $5 million.
His first force out when he left OKC. And then secondly, once he went to Stripperville, also known as Houston, Texas, took over the Rockets, getting MVPs and whatnot, being the guy. And then like, hey, bring my man Russ back. And then Russ realized like, wow, this is just, a very loosely run team. And, James gets to do everything. I don't like it here. So again, it didn't work out there. And then he comes to Los Angeles, and the first thing he's doing is just cracking jokes about, Russell Westbrook's career over, on the other side of the arena, when he was with the Lakers, so he's got to kind of, deal with that, So we'll see how it really comes down to the relationship between, James Harden and Russell Westbrook.
They're boys. Then you hear Russell. Didn't you hear Harden say they've been knowing each other since the Boys and Girls Club? Man, they're boys. They're
sure
good.
have. But the last two stops didn't work out, and then when he came in, just cracking jokes about Russell Westbrook's Laker career, that didn't help it. Matters either. You heard that, right?
Yeah, but this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting. This is obviously going to take a moment for these guys to kind of come together. They lost. They're 0-2 right now as it stands.
So they're coming together.
I mean, they have no choice but to come together. What do you mean? Ty is gonna put them together. Ty is gonna make them hold hands in practice. They're gonna have to run some laps together, and they're gonna have a kumbaya moment where they're gonna have to come together and make this thing work. And I think this is a doable situation.
So it sounds like a lot more hope on your part. Keep hope alive. Is that what we're doing here? Because clearly you have no evidence that's going to happen.
Well, we have the evidence that Ty Lue's a good coach, right? Ty Lue's able to take personalities.
You have evidence that Ty Lue's a good coach?
I mean, didn't he manage the situation with Delonte West and LeBron James? Didn't he manage that team into a championship? I'm not sure if didn't he get Cleveland to a championship? Who was the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers before LeBron? Before LeBron left Cleveland alert again. I think that was Ty Lue. So we know Ty Lue.
But
what?
Managing the Delonte West situation, yeah, he traded Delonte West. I mean, the organization did that. That's not a coaching thing. He didn't bring them both in hey, Delonte, hey LeBron, you need to get over the fact Delonte was with your mom. Come on, man. You're trying to lose some credit for it. They didn't say, no, you got to get out. King's mom, that's not cool. You got to get out the locker room. That's not a Ty Lue moment.
I mean, Ty Lue's pulled a string. Unlike your coach in New York who said, I played the fifth. Ty Lue said, no, this is what we need to do, and let's make this happen.
Man, we're not crossing sports when it comes to coaching.
So I think this is going to be able to bring Ty Lue's going to be able to bring this squad together, and with his experience,
cross your fingers, man. Cross your fingers, man.
Oh boy, playing with 4 first ballot Hall of Famers, they have to make it happen.
Sure.
What's been your biggest takeaway for the last week of the season, of the NBA season? It would be week 2, if you will.
Concern on Laker Nation front. LeBron's playing too many minutes. This is once again oft injured. Gabe Vincent has not been a contribution, and there's been no Jarrett Vanderbilt, and there's been no cohesion to that offense. And as we all know, the Western Conference is very unforgiving, so you can't just rest on your laurels and hope the schedule, eases up for you. You have to win games. So,
well, AD, you should never mind the fact that they got blew out by nearly 30 points tonight. You should be confident that AD actually tried to play. He didn't. He tried to play after.
Have no confidence in Anthony Davis whatsoever.
What do you mean?
What do you mean? What do I mean?
Well, I feel like Davis did not play tonight. Davis did not play tonight. Actually.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I feel that he is a player that can, sprain his wrist trying to open his car door and be out for.
Oh wow, you're cold. You're cold. So, that's a low one. So Dylan Brooks, I mean, 5 points.
Man, I'm not gonna have any kind of Dylan Brooks conversation with you.
Why not?
Any conversation starts out with Dylan Brooks, man. No,
He said he wanted to shut down LeBron, make
And
them feel it, make the fourth quarter
will
come
not
early.
have a conversation with you that starts out with Dylan Brooks. Did
His team won by 30. How you gonna be now? How you gonna hate on Reggie Dylan Brooks? His team won by 30. Shingun put up 19. Whoa, my guy, Eason in the game, 9-4. You don't want to talk about them at all, huh?
No.
Well, take that smackdown. How about that? Take that smackdown. As you lose by 30 to the Houston Rockets.
That is embarrassing. Again, you asked what the number one storyline was, and on cue.
Well, did you see Ant-Man though? Did you see Anthony, your guy, Anthony Edwards? We need to do something to free Anthony Edwards. We need to do that because him up there with your guy, the two of the bums, two of the biggest stiffs in the NBA is Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns. Both of them together, individually. I don't need. I'll take Gobert first, but I don't want nothing to do with Towns. Together, they're just horrible. But Ant-Man is stuck up there, and we need to free Anthony Edwards. Free Anthony Edwards. We need to go on a petition because he shot down on what I think it was Monday night. Did you see that game? He erupted in the fourth quarter, lighting the Celtics up. Oh my goodness, that was impressive. Like 3-pointers, going to the hoop, off the glass. He was very impressive. Free Anthony Edwards, man. Get that kid out of Minnesota. If there's one time, and I hate when you do this. I hate when all you bandwagon Laker fans do this. Oh, bring him to LA. He needs a big market. This is one time we need to get that kid out of Minnesota. Somebody needs to put a package together, get him to New York, get him to Los Angeles, get him to the Hawks. Somebody needs to do something. Get this kid out of Minnesota, get him to a market where people want to see hoop because this guy gets down. This guy gets down. I love it. I love how he gets down, and he put it on the Celtics the other night. Wemby, we got to talk about Wemby, but we got first to talk about how Wemby, they lost by 20 to the Knicks tonight. I think Wemby had 10 points. He had 2 points in the first half of the game. Never got comfortable with Tibbs as a head coach. You know what the book on Wemby is, and Tibbs applied the book, and they were getting them frustrated and elbowing them and pushing them and kneeing them in the back and in the ribs and everything else. So he wasn't able to kind of get his game off, and they lost by 20. And I still think, like we talked about last week, sometimes these guys, they just forget who they're playing with, man. They forget to give him the ball when he flashes to the hoop. Like, you gotta hit him. And that's an easy dunk. And they still not doing that. And when they did that against the Suns, you saw the Suns twice last week. The first game they played it, they played it to a virtual tie. They ended up winning that, coming back on the Suns in the last few minutes of that game, scored 20 points in like 10 minutes in that fourth quarter, came back and won that game, first game against the Suns. And the next game they blew them out. Wemby put up 38 on them. I don't know if you saw that, 38 and 12 on them. Like, whoo, Wembanyama. Wembanyama showed him why he could be the most special player we've seen. But then tonight again against the Knicks, they just pushed him around. And he does need his teammates, although he has dribbling. He can dribble, he can pass, and he can shoot off the dribble, et cetera, et cetera. They need his teammates to help him. Like, see, when he's open, hit that kid. What's your thoughts on Wemby, and what's your thoughts on Ant?
My thoughts on Wemby is that he probably got a little bit overwhelmed playing Madison Square Garden for his first time.
He saw the money. I didn't like that way he said Madison Square Garden was kind of small. that meant the New York fans was going to be on him from jump, and then that doesn't do
already behind the 8 ball, right?
That doesn't do you no good.
Yeah, it doesn't help. And then And so then, like you said, Tibbs knew the formula so far, 10 games in the season, is be physical with him. And, the New York Knicks, if they can't do anything else, they can be physical with you because there's not a lot of basketball skill over there with the Knicks. So, that's kind of their calling card. So, I mean, it's unfortunate they only get to see him once a year. So, it's kind of early. So, won't get to see him until next year. He'll be much improved, and he'll remember what happened this last time he was there, and he'll hear all the stories and be sure to put on a show when it's time to come back to New York. With regards to Ant, hey, man, like we said 2 years ago, when he got into the playoffs, he's a problem. He's a handful, and his international experience over the summer has certainly helped. So we'll see where they go from there. I would like to see him in a bigger market on a team that has more of an opportunity to have success. But, that's just – it's
free
on the horizon, but we're not there yet.
Free Anthony Edwards, man. Free Anthony Edwards. Warriors and the Nuggets. Warriors 5-1. They're both 5-1. They're playing tonight. It's a 2-point game, 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. The Nuggets are up by 2. They're playing also without Jamal Murray, who's out. Murray's out for the next month. So Jokic is left alone to do his thing. And Jokic here crying to the rest, which you don't see a whole lot of. But it's a 2-point game with Jokic going to the free throw line. Are you surprised at what's going on in Golden State with Chris Paul and these guys working out so well?
Very much so. I didn't think it would be such a seamless transition. They're still kind of small, but at the same time, if Chris Paul is going to be running that second unit to perfection, so be it. Nice addition.
Yeah, man, and kind of, I truly didn't believe that he was going to start the team with them. But the question I've been asking since they signed him is, could he be that third guard? You've heard me say this multiple times since they signed him. Could he be that Sean Livingston? Could he be that Jared Jack? Again, that's how when they first started coming, they would have the 3-guard rotation and allowing Steph to play off the ball, and he's been doing that. We've seen obviously Steph in his traditional role, but he's been playing off the ball and allowing them to continue to grow. Allow Klay Thompson to now catch and shoot like he loves to do. So it's another guy to get these guys easy shots, and I think it's worked out swimmingly. Cleveland, as we mentioned, these some of these records, the Celtics and the Philly and the 76ers played today. They were 5-1. They were both 5-1. The Warriors and the Nuggets right now, they're 5-1. They both meet tonight. It's a tie ball game, just under 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. When should we start paying attention to the NBA standings? After Christmas. Now we take notice of the standings, and now I can ask you, is this sustainable? Do you believe in the Sacramento Kings?
Do you believe in Sacramento Kings, Cam?
Absolutely.
What is their record in the standings right now?
I'm gonna look and see. Don't try to, man.
I'm pretty sure they're not even in the top 8. I haven't looked.
Yeah, I know you because it's built on hatred.
Can you look for me? Where are they?
I'm gonna point it out. I'm gonna give me a minute. I'll point it out.
Cam, since it's gonna be like that, let me look.
No problem. I'll point it out to you.
Apparently they must not be there because you would have just answered already.
I'm gonna point them out where they are. The Sacramento Kings. Sacramento Kings 2-4. Right now they're out of the play. It's 2. They're 2-4. We're 6 games in. Come on.
Yeah.
The 6 games in.
Okay. So when I said, man, I'm being too hurt. I guess if you saw it, it's really easy.
The 6 games in. Right now, Minnesota is 5-2. Is that sustainable? No. Oklahoma 5-3. Right now, Houston is number 6 in the West. Is that sustainable? Come on. I told you, you don't want to believe it. You nor Pavi wanted to believe it, but I told you Houston on talent alone, I told you Houston could be in the playoffs. And you guys really, what are you talking about? And you guys start naming off of every team in the West.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't know Sacramento was I didn't know Sacramento was way down here at 2-4.
A lot of climbing to do.
It's early right now, but the Memphis Grizzlies are 1-7. Like we expected them to have a slow start, but I know they don't have Dylan Brooks, so you can't blame it on Brooks no more. What are you blaming it on? Ja not being there?
Yeah,
because they don't have that dude. That's what you're gonna say, huh?
Ja's not there, and Desmond Bain is.
You begging on Desmond Bain?
What's your boy Stephen Smith? Call him. Steve Smith call him a jag. Just another guy, man.
You are wrong for that. You are wrong for that. Okay, Cleveland, we've seen a little bit of this in-season tournament. My argument, my complaint is I was trying to warm up to it. I was trying to warm up to this in-season tournament. The in-season tournament needs to be all month of November. It doesn't need to be some games or tournament games. Some games aren't. It needs to be the whole month. Everybody playing tournament games all month long. And then that's your standings. Let's go into the last week in November and do our top 4 teams make the tournament. If that's what it's going to be, after 3 weeks of NBA basketball, you get a week to warm up. 3 weeks of that first month of NBA basketball or tournament games, and then the last week is tournament play. That's how it should be. None of this. What do you? That's how I think the change. That's the changes I think that should be made. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, with the evolution of the tournament, I mean that certainly can be a thing. Kind of, in the future. But let's get our feet wet and see, kind of experiment with it a little bit. I'm okay with that.
We're seeing what it is. Like, do you know what is tonight a tournament game or not? No, it's not a tournament game. Tournament games are only Tuesday and Friday. I thought when it was gonna on Tuesday and Friday was gonna be all NBA, all. Hey
man, I like the new courts. I like the excitement. I like the intensity of the games. At least the first game was cool.
You like the new courts? The new courts don't move me at all. I'm not moved by the new.
Oh no, it makes a difference.
I'm not moved by the courts. It does nothing. So before tonight's game, the Lakers sent tapes to the NBA claiming your guy LeBron should be getting more foul calls. What's your thoughts on this?
I mean, that one game he was getting hacked to hell. So
that one game,
you just have to turn it over to the league and be like, hey man, these egregious errors. Why were you missing these things?
Now we're blaming the refs for the Lakers getting smacked around.
Yeah, when the fouls aren't called, for sure.
Come on, cut it out. So this year the All-Star game is in Indianapolis, Indiana, for whatever reason. But in 2025, it's going to be back in the Bay Area. And Adam Silver said we may see the NBA versus the world in that game. Now that's going to cause some issues. The NBA versus the world. I think it's a good philosophy. I think it's a good. I think that's a good thing that we're going to see the NBA against the world in the All-Star game. I think that's pretty cool. However, that means that some players are going to be missed, are not going to make the NBA All-Star game. Like that 16, 17, 18th player who normally would make the All-Star game is not going to make the American players not going to make the All-Star game because they're going to need to have that 15-man roster for the American League and then American team and then the 15-man roster for the world team. So some of that world team players probably would make the NBA All-Star game if not for that format. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it sounds like at least the top 6 players that would ordinarily be on either the Eastern Conference or Western Conference team won't be on that team. So that's plus 6 that you can add to the American side if that is the format that they're going to go with.
But again, it's easy enough to. I think it's easy enough to find 15 American players. But can you name 15 international players that's deserving of all-star action? Like, obviously, we got Giannis, Nikola Jokic,
Embiid, Wembanyama,
Wemby. You got
Doncic.
Not Doncic, excuse me. Okay, now that list is getting kind of murky. Like all-stars? That list is kind of murky.
Rudy Gobert is an all-star.
Rudy Gobert, Sabonis from
Sabonis. Your guy, Sabonis. Jamal Murray.
Okay, interesting. So you're gonna say Shai Gilgeous-Alexander then?
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
So we're at 9. Who else is there? Who else played in Dylan Brooks? Is he an all-star? Is he in your top? He played in Canada. Who else played in Canada with Shai? Redick. Huh?
Andrew Wiggins.
So that's 10. Andrew Wiggins. Are you gonna say Redick from New York Knicks? Was it Redick or RJ Barrett? RJ Barrett. One of those New York.
RJ Barrett is Canadian.
So now we're 11. But would RJ Barrett make an all-star team? This is what I'm saying. Would RJ Barrett
would be a little bit of a stretch to make an all-star team.
That's what I'm saying. Now he would make that world team, but if it was taking the top 30 players, he would not.
Kristaps Porzingis, perhaps.
Porzingis. There's another one. But you see what I'm saying? It gets kind of murky.
Siakam,
Pascal. Okay. Again, you're at 12 legitimate, pushing RJ Barrett out, but you're at 12 legitimate international players. Like everybody we mentioned would be an all-star, has been an all-star, but that's going to get kind of tricky. And then that opens it up for on the American team. Some of those players you said talking about those top 6 players would just be all-star, top first without question all-star players. That opens it up for other players. Like, what's your thoughts on that? It just gives everybody a chance. You're good with it?
Adam Silver's kind of throwing things out. They're still throwing darts.
Nah, that's one thing he doesn't do. He wouldn't mention it in the media if it wasn't something like they've already.
It's 2025. I mean, they're thinking about it. We'll see how 2024 goes. I mean, let's not go 2 years ahead. See what's going to happen. But if so, then it opens up legitimately 6 other spots on the American side, right? 6.
Yeah,
right.
Again, that just wouldn't be ordinarily. They wouldn't be all stars, and that's kind of the point I'm making. Some of those players would not be all stars if not for this particular format. That's kind of the point I'm making. But I got you. I got your feedback. Yeah, let's not look too far ahead. I still think the tournament, if I get a chance to talk to Silver, the tournament should be the first 3 weeks of November. All tournament games. Let's stop with the guessing. Is this a tournament game? Is it not? Does this count? Is it not? All tournament games. Make the top 4. If you're taking the top 4 teams, if you're talking the top 8 teams, however you want to break it down, you make them play that tournament the last week. Then the final week or first week in December is the Vegas trip for, the tournament championship. That's how you want to do it. And that, I think, because right now it's just like nobody knows when these tournament games are. Is it a tournament game? Is it legit? Is it not? Nobody really knows. Cleveland, each and every week. Unlike anybody else in the podcast history, I don't know. Maybe somebody else who has a This Week in History segment, but we break down our This Week in History segment. 11/7/1841, Cleveland. Madison, Washington. A slave aboard the Creole slave ship en route to New Orleans from Hampton, Virginia, leads a successful rebellion after the slaves overpowered the crew, and they sailed to the Bahamas, where they were granted asylum and freedom.
Oh wow.
Never heard of Madison, Washington. Never heard of him. That was pretty dope. 11/7/1967, Carl Stokes was elected mayor of Cleveland, Ohio, and becomes the first African American elected mayor of a major city. Shout out to Stokes. 11/7/1989, David Norman Dixon elected first black mayor of New York City, serving from 1989 to 1993. 11/7/1989, Virginia elects Lawrence Douglas Wilder as governor, making him the first African American to be elected governor of that or any state. Douglas Wilder, you know what his claim to fame is?
Yes, he exonerated Allen Iverson.
Pardon Allen Iverson.
Yeah.
Quick story, Cleveland. I moved from Georgia, and I moved from Georgia to Virginia in 1991. Moved from Georgia to Hampton, Virginia. Hampton, Virginia, that area is pretty cool, actually. But I moved there in late August. It was late August, and you could see the little town. It is Hampton, similar to Renton, if you will, kind of very similar to Renton. And they were putting up all these banners around town. Hampton Bay Days, right, was going to be in the downtown section of Hampton, Virginia, just so like the landing area, the Renton landing area, right? So like the landing is kind of like there's not every road doesn't lead to the landing, right? Like there's a couple roads that lead straight to the landing, but every road in Renton doesn't lead to the landing. And that's a similar way in Hampton. And I didn't know, I'm new to the area. I just keep seeing, I saw these promotions for Hampton Bay Days. I was like, okay, let's go check this out. And the way they had it was there was two entrances because it was, free drinking or free bars inside, so you could drink on the streets and everything. And so it was like a 4-block radius, vendors and everything else. This is funny. But there was two entrances to the entrance of this. But at the entrance, both entrances must have been upwards of 30 to 50 black folks at both entrances, having their free Allen Iverson t-shirts, selling the t-shirts, boycott Hampton Bay Days, selling the t-shirts, boycott Hampton Bay Days, because this is where the bowling alley is in Hampton, right? Like, who the hell is Allen Iverson? Like, I'm thinking this is some political leader or something. Like, who the hell? Again, I just moved to Virginia. I'm there less than a week. And it was like, I'm like, who the hell is this Allen Iverson dude? Like, who is this, right? So a couple more days go by, and I saw on the news they're talking about Allen Iverson. So I'm racing to the TV to see who the hell this kid is. I didn't know who the hell this person is. I didn't know it was a high school basketball player. Like, they're like, yeah, man, they were supporting. Why were you guys out here boycotting? Well, we need to show support to our local, our local family member, the community, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, Hampton came out for Iverson. Like, they came out. Literally, there was no black folks inside Hampton Bay Days. I'll put it like that, because they had boycotted it and was selling shirts, and I didn't know who it was until I found out he was a basketball player. Now I wanted to see like what the hoopla was. Now I just wanted to see, okay, he's a basketball player that got railroaded, said he was in a brawl, wasn't a brawl, blah, blah, blah. Then I get to hear the whole story. I later heard the whole story, but I had no idea who that was, who Allen Iverson was. What was your first time you heard of Iverson?
I remember a story on NBC Nightly News about the bowling alley, incident, the fight, and how he was like wrongfully accused, and he could have been this, it could have been that. And then shortly thereafter, after he got pardoned, he, had a choice of schools, and it was Georgetown. And the thing that I remember most about Allen Iverson, especially that freshman year, is that he was just so like wild, like just literally like someone that has been let out of incarceration, and like it didn't fit with John Thompson and his scheme and his structure that I was just like, I remember like being like appalled that he would let somebody just kind of come in and like, this is not a Georgetown player. This is not what he's about. Like, why?
Yeah.
And then years later, you hear John Thompson's explanation, and it's it's very simple, and it's so humane, and such a father figure that John Thompson had always been to all of his players, and it was just simply that he had been locked up for so long. I just wanted to give him the freedom to do what he wanted to do, to kind of see what he could become, and just kind of test all the boundaries, which is something he never did for anybody else.
Yeah,
So
it was pretty.
Goes to show you just how special and just how dedicated that he was to Allen Iverson, and how strongly he felt about the situation. Is what I remember mostly about him.
Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, so many stories that can go different ways. His mom went to, a lot of schools didn't want to touch him. His mom reached out to John Thompson, and then
please take my son. And she's like, and he's like, okay, I'll take your son. Yeah,
it went from there. So it was. I mean, it was cool. Glad everything worked out. But that was my first. Like, I remember thinking, like, going home after I saw that, and I never went to the Bay Days because everybody was boycotting it. everybody was boycotting it. But I was like, who the hell is Allen Iverson? I swore I thought it was some political leader or something. But they City of Hampton came out. But yeah, that was Wilder's pot, and then after Wilder pardoned him, oh man, there was a lot of people did not like him for that. 11/9/1964, Roger, I think I'm pronouncing this right, Arlene, a young, born in Clifton Forge, Virginia. She had the distinction of becoming the first African American woman to receive her doctorate degree in zoology. 11/9/1964, African American inventor Granville T. Woods patented the electric railway. 11/10/1967, Charlie Sifford won the Long Beach Open, becoming the first African American to win a professional golf tournament. 11/10/1991, Martina Navratilova ties Chris Everett with 157 pro tennis tournament wins. Who was better, Martina or Chris Everett, being the fake tennis player you claim to be?
Martina Navratilova had more success than
Chris Everett?
Yeah, in her career.
Was she better than Chris?
I think that she had a longer period where she was better. I mean, Chris Everett was certainly the standard for a long period of time. And, depending on how you look at it, I mean, Chris Everett, I think, is still either second or third for all-time Grand Slams. I just think that there was a period of time where Martina was just far more dominant than Chris Everett was.
He was dominant longer. 11/10/1983, Marvelous Marvin Hagler retains his world middleweight boxing title with a 15-round unanimous. They used to go 15 rounds back in the day. Unanimous points decision over Roberto Duran at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. The first time that Hagler was taking the distance. 1983, long time ago. Cleveland, now that you know other teams have been sign stealing and sharing signs and all this hoopla, should Michigan actually be punished for stealing signs?
I'm not sure what the punishment should be. I think that they went a little bit above and beyond, kind of just the, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, kind of attitude. I mean, if you have people from Michigan standing on, other teams, sidelines, that's a little wild.
But does the Big Ten take Michigan out of the, say you're punished, you lose 2 games, take
all that punishment is going to be retroactive to the season. It's not going to be this season.
You don't think so?
No.
We'll see. All right, Cleveland. Your Huskies went to USC this weekend. Went to the Coliseum, outlasted Caleb Williams and USC. Beat them by 3 points, 52-49.
10, 52-42.
Oh, excuse me. I took a couple points away from you guys. Was that a good win? Were you happy with the win? Dude ran for 250 though. I give Dude credit for 250 yards rushing. Like, that was amazing. I mean, it's hard to run for 250 when you had a Heisman. Hard to give somebody the Heisman when you have somebody to rush it for 250 on your team, isn't it?
No, that was the first game that was even remotely like that. So that has nothing to do with the Heisman voting or the impact of Michael Penix Jr. on the team. Yeah, no.
We get that.
Stay in your lane, Playboy. Stay in your lane. Mm-hmm.
A fair foul for Caleb Williams to take heat for crying on his mom's shoulder after the loss of the Huskies.
There. What you crying about? Stop your blood clot crying.
I thought you'd be going a different way with this.
Nah.
I thought you would be going, oh, it's football, it's competition, young man out there competing.
Nope. Stop all your crying and whining. Heisman Trophy winner, making $5 million a year. Stop all your crying.
I didn't understand. I understand to be emotional. I understand being hot about the loss. But dude was out there. He was balling in his mom's shoulder. Like, what are you crying about? Like, as you mentioned, you make $5 million a year. You already won the Heisman. Like, number one, first question I asked, like, did you give it your all? Did you play your hardest out there? That was the very first question I'd ask. Like, if the answer is yes, there's no reason to be crying. Secondly, take that to the locker room.
Hey man, look, I can't defend these kids these days. I know what their motivation and what their mindset is. So hey man, I feel about it. Can't be crying.
I blame some of the teammates, man. Crying, it's an emotional game. You cry when you win, you cry when you lose. I get it, but take that shit to the locker room.
Blame the teammates.
Huh?
Why are you blaming the teammates?
One of those guys should have grabbed his ass and drug him up to the tunnel in the locker room.
Williams. He's Heisman Trophy winner. He's the face of the university.
So what? Dog, we can't be out here.
That means that no one else has that authority to do that.
Man. If I was on the team, we can't have this, bro. We can't have you crying in front of on national TV, in front of the 50,000 people that's in the stands. Like, dog, you ran. It wasn't crying. It wasn't that you crying on your way off the field. You ran and jumped into your mom's arms and start crying. Like, come on, dog. I don't know. Who's the Heisman Trophy leader? Who's leading in the Heisman Trophy race right now?
Michael Penix Jr.
Oh man, you're not coming off of this. Is there any competition for the Heisman Trophy?
I mean, Caleb.
Oh, stop it.
You can put together some more victories.
Is Shadour's not in the mix?
No. Mm-mm.
Have you watched any more Colorado games since week 3?
Have you?
I asked you the question.
No.
No, not to, I mean, I turned the game on. I want everybody. I want somebody to admit that Deion is not coaching the squad. I want somebody to admit that. He walks up and down the sideline with his headphones on and the mic is up. The mic is up. They play 48 minutes. The mic is up 46 of the 48 minutes.
They play 60 minutes just like everyone else, Cam. It's like every other football game.
The mic is up 58 of those 60 minutes. And I want somebody to admit that and don't act like I'm the only one that sees that. That means he's not communicating with nobody else. He's listening to what's going on. Like he's getting the ear plays in their head. He's not doing anything else. He's talking to the players. He's an inspirational leader of that university, which is not a bad thing. You need a figurehead. You need that leader. That's not a bad thing, but don't tell me he's a coach on a team because he's just an inspirational leader. Do you disagree with that?
Well, I mean, if you wanted to be X and O's like your guy Belichick, and come up, and draw up schemes on the chalkboard, yeah, that's not what Deion does. Yeah, he's much better at, allocating and delegating. If that's what you're trying to say, he delegates authority to other people and kind of has a general parameter that he wants them to stay within. Yeah, that's fine. If that's what you want to call him, it just takes away from his credibility as far as being a head coach, which I'm not willing to do. But you're all about it,
No, I see it every week, and then hopefully somebody's gonna recognize that. That's all. The CFB prediction: Georgia number 1, Michigan number 2, Alabama's not number 3, Florida State's number 4.
See how you do that? You just automatically just default to Alabama. That's not right.
Yeah, they're not number 3. I don't even know why
they're not. They're not even in the top
10. They're 8.
Number 8.
They're number 8. They're number 8.
And as soon as you get to like 3 or 4, you already just want to start saying Alabama. It's not
right. Not really. Not really. I don't know why that's in there. I don't,
because you're just so used to saying Alabama. It has to be in there, right?
Shame on me, fans. Shame on me. Shame on me. Ohio State. Who we got? Ohio State, Michigan. Shame on me, fans, for even having that there. Florida State is number 4. If somebody's number 5, I'm not sure. Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan. Florida State number 4. Who's number 5?
University of Washington Huskies.
Do they crack the top 4? Or are they comfortable? They should get a playoff invite. They get an invite to the playoffs.
No, they do not. It's just the top 4 that get in.
Do they crack No, I thought the tournament got expanded. No, only the top 4. Ooh, so Washington State, they better not lose to Washington State then, huh? They better not lose to those Cougars, huh?
Yeah, that's not a concern. Don't worry about that one. We have some other tough games coming up before that.
We got Utah. Can you guys get through Utah?
Utah's a tough game. Oregon State's a tough game.
I mean, but you trying to act like Washington State is not a concern? Washington State not ranked no more? They were in the top 20, weren't they, at one point?
At one point, sure. But no, you're not going to get me to say something as preposterous as that. Like the University of Washington is worried about Washington State University. No, that's not going to happen.
You got to go to Pullman. You got to go there.
No, we don't. They have to come to Montlake.
Oh, they going to Montlake. Oh, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. You're at Oregon State, and you got Utah and Washington State at Montlake. Huh? I mean, Washington State's familiar with Montlake, though. They've been there so many times.
I know.
They've been there. They've been there a lot of times. Like,
I know it. Almost never goes well.
Oh, he's cracking jokes. Okay, put it up there, Washington. I'm gonna send this to Pullman. Somebody
Send it to him because everybody sends it to him. They put it all together in this great big bag and they carry it around like this weight on their shoulder. They just can't get rid of. I'm like, damn.
Oh, listen
And
to
they
him.
just fall over.
Oh, listen to him. Boy, those Huskies talking bad crap right now. They're talking bad crap right now.
All
Okay.
the time, Cameron.
So Florida, who loses to get for Washington moving to the number 4?
Florida State.
Ooh, who you got they losing to?
Not sure. They're just not a very good team.
Florida State is not a good team. Well, they do got the Hurricanes this weekend. They do got the Hurricanes this weekend. Would you like the Hurricanes to upset the apple cart?
Oh, and plus, I mean, Ohio State,
North Alabama, Florida. Woo. What'd you say?
And plus, Ohio State and Michigan have to play each other. So
that's how you guys gonna sneak in?
I don't know if it's sneak in, Cam. Yes. How do they break into the top 4? That would be how they do it.
I mean, that would be a sneak in. Michigan plays number 10, Penn State this weekend. No, they got Purdue. They only got they're gonna play each other in the Big Ten tournament, huh?
The last game of the season should be against
Purdue.
Ohio State.
Let me see. I'm sorry. They do got Ohio State. You're right. They got Penn State, Maryland, and Ohio State. So that's how you guys sneak in, right there. One of those guys. You heard Siri talking about. Yeah, that's what she thought. Siri said, "Yeah, that's how you guys sneak in." But what that means, Washington State can upset the Cougars. The Cougars can come and do some Cougan.
Yeah. Now they got to come out here and Coug it again.
The Cougars. Let's see what the Scarlet and Gray. Let's see if the Scarlet. Let's see if that's Scarlet and Gray. Woohoo! I'm about to call up to Pullman and see what I can put my hopes on.
Now, rile them up as much as you like. It's always better when they're even more riled up. It's always even better.
I mean, they're coming to the big city. They're coming to the big city from Pullman to
see
go to Montlake.
See how you talking about them already?
I'm saying
they're coming to the big city. Yeah,
they're going. I mean,
they're gonna get overwhelmed. They're gonna get overwhelmed like they always do.
And all the remodel stadium and all the
and then personally, I think this is gonna be the last time because what I'm hearing is that with the new conference alignment, the statement game at the end of the year is going to be Washington, Oregon from here on out.
Ooh, so they're gonna put history down on you guys. Like this is like over 100 years of action.
This is going to be the last ass whipping. It's what you know.
He says a lot. Okay. That's it, man. That's it. We got in a couple weeks. We got David Benavidez, Boo Boo Andrade. Are you excited for that?
Not at all, Cam.
I mean, you better warm up. You better get warmed up to it, man. They're actually having a fight. I put a message out to any boxing fans in Seattle, Washington. They're actually having an event where you can go tour. Yeah, nobody responded. Ain't no boxing fans in Seattle. They're having the boxers are putting on their pre-fight warm-up session up in Seattle. The Benavidez, you know the Benavidez is living written, right? David and his brother.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they're living written. So they're having a fight thing tomorrow at in Auburn. It is David Benavidez and Jose Benavidez to hold a media workout ahead of upcoming matches in not Auburn, Federal Way it is. Fans, again, want to thank you guys for tuning in. Thank Cleavon for making the show. So give yourself a round of applause. Give Cleavon a round of applause for showing up tonight. And fans, each and every week, man, we guys again we do something different than most shows. We have our number game that we start the show off with. We give you an educational session with This Week in History. Learning stuff that, man, I didn't know Madison Washington is. Cleavon, I got to put some respect on her name. So we give you This Week in History, and then, unlike any other show, we end our show with a quote. The quote I'm in the show with tonight is: "Many of life's failures are people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up." Cleavon, one more time for the people in the back. Many of life's failures are from people who did not realize how close they were to success when they gave up. That's Thomas A. Edison, Cleavon. So keep at it. Don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up on your passions. Keep at it. Keep working until it happens for you. Because you give up, then it's never happened for you. So keep working on what you're working on to make something happen. We thank you again for tuning in to the Voice of the Fans podcast. And then my final word from you guys is thank you for making our voice your choice. Have a good one, fans.